Good afternoon from paradise. I'm Ian. That's Nick. It is Thursday, June 6th. People might think it's a dull day in crypto, but there's never a dull day in crypto. There's always news, there's always something to talk about. And so we found three or four pieces of news that we felt was relevant now, that's happening now, and that's going to impact the market. So we're going to talk about Roaring Kitty. He's back. He's been back, but I guess now he's back in a major way. The guy's all of a sudden worth like billions of dollars or something. And we'll talk about how that impacts crypto, if at all. Second topic we'll talk about are the interest rates. You know, we've been hammering this topic for a while. The interest rates move markets, guys. If you don't understand interest rates, figure it out, understand it. It's going to make you money. And then we'll also talk. We're going to piggyback on yesterday's conversation about Binance. They keep evolving and growing, and man, they're killing it. So we'll talk about the MasterCard deal that they got going, and we'll see what else we have. What other topics pop up on today's show? But why don't we start with Roaring Kitty? I read the other day he's worth $300 million.
Yeah, I think he's probably, after today's market action, is probably closer to 400 million if he closes call options. But what's going on and what's interesting with GME is it's kind of a people's movement, a grassroots movement, but it's kind of what we see in crypto for meme coins and community, but for the Web2 TradeFi individuals. So there's a couple parts of the story that I find interesting. A, Roaring Kitty came back. GameStop went from $9 to 60 to 20, and now we're sitting at $42. We've had 3 green days in a row. And trading just got halted again today. Well, why did they halt trading? Well, because Roaring Kitty went on his YouTube channel and he scheduled a premiere for a YouTube live show tomorrow, June 7th. As soon as he did that, obviously volatility and the price went straight up. And, you know, the corrupt system we try to trade in on stocks, they halted that trading activity. So it'll be interesting. Will it be a sell and news event tomorrow? Will it actually be the real Roaring Kitty on the live show? Will they stop whole trading and GameStop goes to a new all-time high? I don't know, but it's exciting. There's an opportunity to make money there. We talked about GameStop on this and Learn Crypto at lower levels at like $20 and $40. Right now we're at 42 with the live show tomorrow. So if you're in it and you're seeing that price action day wondering why, that is why. I don't know if you have any other input, but why I think it affects crypto, it kind of shows you the average Joe doesn't always grasp on the high level stuff in the margin trading and the infrastructure plays. They're looking for something they can grasp, understand, has a community behind it, and they think they can make money on it. And I think that's why meme coins continue to survive and thrive in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, that kind of puts a lot of the big name protocols and infrastructure in the back seat right now as this GME meme coin mantra is really flooding all the markets on both Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway. It's that memes are not going anywhere. These more simple to understand kind of projects or companies within Web3 or TradFi, they're not going anywhere. I think it's frankly going to pick up steam. I actually think that memes are one of the best ways to onboard new people into Web3 because the actual infrastructure concepts like the blockchain, decentralization, data, decentralized data, internet money, it's relatively just hard to understand. I mean, I had to read like 3 or 4 books. I'm a relatively educated person. I went to law school. Like so not everyone, comes from the same background and has the ability to understand these concepts. And I'm still I barely even understand the technology behind crypto half the time. So to expect average folks to dive in and start investing in complicated protocols is not realistic. But memes are that perfect gateway drug, right? And I actually have a funny story. So our realtor, we bought a house 3 or 4 years ago now. Our realtor, he found out I was in crypto, blah, blah. And he's like, what should I buy? And he just named off like 4 or 5 memes. And I was like, starting to explain Ethereum. And I was like, I just stopped myself. I was like, this guy's probably not going to get it. He's not going to understand this stuff. Just invest in SHIB and Doge and you'll be fine. So that's what it's all about. It's about community simplicity. I'm excited Rory Kitty's back. By the way, I do think for those who are in the more sophisticated infrastructure plays or DeFi or whatever, money does eventually flow to the serious projects. There's always that phase in the cycle where memes are going crazy, blah, blah, blah. Money will flow to the more serious stuff, just give it a matter of time. But don't hate on memes. They're not going anywhere. Embrace the memes. Maybe invest in a few. No
Well,
financial advice here as always, but memes
and
are
the
cool.
other thing with the DeFi and infrastructure plays, you have a definitely a lower percentage chance of a straight up rug pull. You know,
Oh yes,
you probably
but
sit more comfy on a low cap infrastructure play, hoping they get user acquisition, earning some small APR, and understanding that they have a real business model versus memes. Yes, you can win big and you know you can make some big money, but for every one that somebody's saying they made a ton of money on, they probably got rugged on 10 of them. So, you know, memes I see is like your scratch off ticket. Unless you're getting a blue chip meme like Floki or Doge or Shib, those are kind of keeping up with and outpacing the market right now. Those you can kind of feel secure in, at least knowing it's not going to rug, but you still have to question the utility at times. So that's why in time, the money will flow to these infrastructure plays because even, you know, no coiners that got into Doge and now they're holders of ADA or XRP or whatever. So money will flow to the more serious projects that have real business standards and real partnerships. You just have to wait for that time and moment in the market cycle.
yeah, real quick before we jump on to the next topic of interest rates, I want to just provide some insights, my own experience investing in memes. I actually came to the conclusion a few weeks ago that memes are not for me. And that is because I personally do not have time to monitor these memes, to invest in these memes, because honestly, they go quick. They're like, you invest and like it goes up, and then an hour later it's gone. And so you can't even walk away from your computer half the time. Like I remember there's one time I invested in something in the afternoon. I went to go pick up my kids. You know, an hour later, I'm home and my money's gone. And I was like, fuck, I can't do this. This is crazy. So yeah, memes are not for everyone. Super high risk, especially the new ones. I think you know mentioned the blue chips is on point. But yeah, I personally don't even invest in memes. The only meme I'm invested in right now is one called Frank, which is more of a DeFi project with just a meme sort of skin over it, so to speak. So I'm personally out of the meme game because I got burned too many times, like just living my life and like shit. I
What
pick up my
happened?
kids, my money's gone. Oh, I went to my mom's for the weekend, money's gone. Like can't handle that.
Yep.
So
Sweet. Well, I guess we'll dive into the next topic of interest rates. Obviously, Ian has talked about interest rates and his prediction that the United States would start cutting interest rates in the year 2024 when a lot of people don't see that as happening. So I guess if you want to kind of predicate on what's going on globally to why you think your prediction probably could become a reality and then how you think it impacts not only stocks, but also potentially cryptos.
yeah, two big pieces of news dropped yesterday and then another today that may have flown under the radar. I haven't seen too much about it in the crypto sphere yet, but yesterday the Central Bank of Canada dropped their rates. So that's very notable and something to pay attention to. Canada, US economies are quite similar, cultures similar. I mean, pandemic response of printing money similar. Um, their government, I guess, is well, governments are similar too. Both those led by more left leading governments right now. So a lot of similar. They just cut the rates yesterday. Oh, and then what happened today? I look at the newspaper. Europe, Central Bank of all of Europe, and that's like 20 countries, right? Every country that's on the euro, which there's about 20. I mean, it's outside of the US, China. EU is the second or third biggest economic bloc in the entire world. They just looked around and said our inflation is back to our benchmark of 2%. And so we're cutting our rates because guess what? People are suffering under these high rates. They cannot persist forever. So that's happened. That happened in Canada, Europe, and I'm not saying US is tomorrow because I think our central bank governors are a little bit more hawkish. They're a little bit more conservative. They're a little bit more, we want to see more downward pressure on inflation and the CPI numbers and so on. But the writing is on the wall. Things aren't going up anymore. Inflation isn't increasing. It's decreasing. And we can talk a little bit more about the intricacies of inflation because when we say inflation is increasing, that doesn't mean prices are. So
Right.
It doesn't mean prices are decreasing. It just means the rate of the price
The
increase is
compounding, yeah,
decreasing.
the compounding inflation has slowed down back to the 2%. And they'll make you forget about the 25% that didn't just disappear over the past three
No, that
years.
didn't.
So
We're never going back to 2019 prices, guys. The gas is not going to be $2. The shit at the grocery store is not going to be, whatever it was 4 years ago. That's inflation. People need to understand that that is inflation. That's why you can't hold dollars. You got to invest in something. I don't care if it's crypto, whatever. You can't hold dollars because we went through that Goldilocks period of like low inflation. That's not normally how it is. 2% a year over 10 years, you're looking at 20%. And what happened was we didn't have a lot of inflation for like 5 or 10 years. And then in 1 year, it went 20%. But over the 10 years, it still went 20%. So you can't hold cash. You got to invest in stuff. All that being said, inflation is going down. Writing is on the wall. The Fed will be cutting rates. I don't know when. My prediction is still before the election because not right before, but like 2 months before to not look too political. But anyway, it's going to happen. Risk assets are going to pump like crazy, and you'll be kicking yourself for not having more Bitcoin and cryptocurrency done.
yeah, and your biggest risk assets, like you said, would be Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and then also some of these high risk crypto stocks, whether that's Coinbase, MicroStrategy, maybe some of the miners. We can talk about those in another show, but those have done very well off the lows. You've seen Nvidia and other tech stocks, high speculative stocks do very well as well. So yeah, also understand with inflation, kind of goes with crypto paradise before we go to the next topic is unless you're getting a raise every year of 3, 5, 10% in your corporate job, you're going backwards in your life. Even if there's 2% inflation, if you don't, and then you get that 1.5% company man raise, you're going backwards 0.5%. That means you need a side hustle. That means you need to have investments to outpace that inflation and to better your life for yourself, your children, your family, whatever. I know a lot of my friends don't realize that. My buddy was like, "Oh man, I got no raises for 2 years, and they gave me a big 5% raise today." I'm like, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but sorry to tell you that in the past 3 years, inflation is actually 28%. So you're actually backwards 23% in your career path. And it took him a second to like process what I was saying and not trying to be that bearer of bad news, but like, hey, buddy, we need to do something. He's a no coiner. I've been trying to push him into it. It's like you're 23% backwards in 3 years of your career showing loyalty to this business. Just so you know, that's the reality for most of America. And that's why everybody's getting these second jobs, doing Uber Eats, doing taxi services, trying to invest in crypto, trying to sell stuff on eBay, whatever it is, just because, you need to do it. And just because inflation goes back to 2% doesn't mean you can get complacent because inflation can start again. And the previous inflation doesn't just disappear. Inflation is always
Right.
compounding. It's compounding on all the previous inflation we had. So just be active. Don't get complacent. Tune into Crypto Paradise. Risk on assets, if Ian is right, are going to be some of the biggest winners. So get started and learn how to invest in Bitcoin and crypto.
Yeah, and I'm not the only voice out there saying that they're going to cut rates and risk assets are going to go up. That's a well-known relationship, established relationship between interest rates and risk assets, right? Liquidity, the situation with the global liquidity and risk assets. The more liquidity, and the lower the rates, the higher risk assets pump. That's just historically a proven fact. And so I'm not just making that up. That's the correlation that's been proven. So we'd have to wait for the rates to cut. Maybe you want to front run that a bit. It's good to be in the crypto space for that reason. I will add too about your friend. It's not just the price of goods and services. The price of owning a home has gone up tremendously, right? And so you have to have some kind of hard assets. I'm a firm believer. Like, don't just be that guy that's permanently renting and not investing in stuff and just living, just hoping that your raise is going to outpace everything. Try to own a home. Try to own some hard assets. Try to own Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a hard finite asset. Maybe if you don't like Bitcoin, maybe for real estate, that's fine. But everything's gotten more expensive. It's not just goods and services. Unfortunately, homes are also up 20,
Right.
30%
And
since
property taxes have gone up. Everything, tax rates have gone up. So yeah, it's crazy out there. That's why you're tuning into Crypto Paradise, though. Otherwise, you'd be sitting on a beach and not having to worry about it, right? So
Yeah, we're just trying to impart our knowledge. Hopefully, people learn a little bit following the show. We appreciate all the new followers and listeners. Had a lot of growth over the past weeks, so that's awesome to see. Final topic we wanted to touch on is just some advancements as it relates to Binance. We've noted that the price of BNB has skyrocketed. A few days ago was 600, and now it's over 700. Now it's 706. just crazy growth, 18% in the past week. Um, you mentioned, Nick, before the show, some sort of relationship with MasterCard. So what's the latest with that?
Yeah, so apparently now MasterCard has re-enabled being able to deposit fiat or buy cryptos on Binance again with your MasterCard. This has been turned off since August of 2023. So almost a year, MasterCard turned it off due to legal, with the CZ stuff going on, scrutiny from regulatory bodies, and not really knowing if Binance as a company was legitimate. Well, we do know that the CZ court case is over. He just had to step down. He has a very short prison sentence. Regulatory clarity coming around with the Bitcoin spot ETF, ETH spot ETF, and the SEC kind of done with Binance, I believe. And then also, MasterCard cited that they did their own research and due diligence on Binance as a global company and a global brand, and they are satisfied with what they see to allow their customers to now deposit fiat and use their MasterCard to buy cryptocurrencies. Again, it's been a year. So we have BNB doing well. We have the Launchpad coming back. We have Binance saying they're going to start listing middle cap tokens again. We have the Binance SEC stuff seemingly coming to an end. And now we have MasterCard, one of the biggest credit card agencies globally, allowing their users to now participate on Binance and crypto once again. Right now, it is deposits only. Withdrawals are not available yet to MasterCard, but they said they will be enabling that in the short future as well. So really, I think that's just more of a bullish sentiment of crypto as a whole, the regulatory framework as a whole. And we were saying retail is not here. Well, now everybody has a MasterCard, so they're able to start onboarding retail potentially again on Binance as they list these new launch projects and list mid-tier projects that already exist in crypto.
Yeah, retail's not here yet, but retail is coming. You have to read, the forest through the trees, so to speak. So you follow Crypto Paradise to pick up little bits of information. But, we're telling you that retail is coming. It will come. This little bit of information shows me that they're laying the groundwork for that. And the way I look at this too is what has happened within the crypto space over the past 1 to 2 years is really a story of cleaning up the Wild West, sort of scammy, or pseudo scammy or outright scammy in the case of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, the non-compliant in the case of CZ. And what they're doing is basically removing the early renegades who weren't compliant and who weren't sort of part of the establishment, weren't Wall Street people. Those folks are now removed. And lo and behold, now BlackRock has stepped in, Fidelity has stepped in, SEC is doing 180 on Ethereum ETF. Wall Street is going to be taking this industry over to a large degree. I mean, it will still always have its decentralized core and nature, and you can always do DeFi stuff. That will never go away. But that's the big story, I think, of the past 1 to 2 years of crypto. Early people are getting cleared out. They're getting replaced by establishment Wall Street types. You can love it. You can hate it. It's been good for the price of Bitcoin so far, but that is really the big story over the past couple of years in crypto.
And the biggest thing is you can hate it, but if you want Bitcoin to become, either the digital gold or the monetary reserve of the globe, you're going to need these institutional players to come in because that's kind of the framework that all the money is within. But you can still find that edge and that alpha by getting into DeFi, by using a centralized exchange, by having your own wallet, customizing your own assets, earning the full APR for staking your ETH versus a fraction of it by staking with Fidelity or whatever. So there's still an outlet for alpha, and we are finally getting full transparency. And stocks, there's no outlet for alpha. There is no DeFi for stocks, and you're not getting any transparency around the positions that are going on there. So this is still definitely a better framework and a great opportunity. But again, we've been saying this for years. Watch what they're doing, not what they're saying, telling you institutions will be coming into play, telling you to front run institutions on Bitcoin spot ETF, the ETH spot ETF. And this, it's kind of all playing out. Bitcoin now here at $70,000 again, Ethereum at 4,000, and they look like they want to go a lot higher. So We'll see what's going to happen.
Retail's not even in yet.
Well, the reason
Google
you know
searches.
retail's yeah, the reason you know new retail's not in yet is because retail ultimately never beats the institutions. So if you've been in crypto for a while, you technically beat the institutions. That's great, but it's such a small percentage of individuals and such a small percentage of the population that you really can't even consider it because BlackRock and them wouldn't have gotten involved the way they have if they didn't think they were still way ahead of the masses and if they weren't going to be able to produce huge AUMs to produce massive fees for their businesses. That's how these things work.
Yep. BlackRock has front run the retail this cycle, which is sort of an astonishing thing to say because normally it's always historically been retail coming in and putting the upward pressure on the price and being catalyst for bull runs. But that's not the case this time. In fact, searches for crypto are quite low right now. No one's Googling crypto. No one's talking about crypto. People are still giving you funny looks if you say you're involved in the space. So that's kind of a crazy thing to think. The fact that we're very, very close to all-time highs at Bitcoin and relatively close for Ethereum and retail is not in yet, that shows me that there is just so much upside in this upcoming bull run that people aren't probably even appreciating how much upside it really is
Yeah,
here.
here I made a tweet today too. You're seeing influences like on they're on Wolf of Wall Street and they're saying 80,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Guys, we have another 6 months pre Ethereum inflows and Bitcoin's already at 72. So in my eyes, my prediction of 100,000 by the end of 2024 potentially could be too low. Could be too low. We're seeing gold and silver popping again. Bitcoin is a risk-on asset, supposed to be a hedge for the same sort of reasons of gold. I mean, Bitcoin could pop tomorrow to 83,000. Now, I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
financial advice, but it can happen so quickly. A move from 72,000 to 80,000 on a percentage scale is a few percent. That's like nothing. So I think just people are underestimating potential here, have bear market PTSD, and they ultimately think that this bull market is going to be shorter than the previous one. And I'm telling you, we're already a year into this thing or 6 months into this thing from 16,000 to 72,000, and we're saying retail's not here and that we're just getting started. BlackRock hasn't even fully reached out to all their investors to get AUM. They just bought another 235 million worth of Bitcoin. Their clients are still finding out about it, and they're humans just like you. So they're going to FOMO more than anybody else because they have the big money to toss 10,000, 100,000, $1 million into Bitcoin spot ETFs when the price starts going parabolic.
Yeah, people forget that this space is full of like really relatively bored periods of boredom, downward sort of just price bleeding down, 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 and then these violent moves up. And you're like, holy shit, you're going to wake up one day and Bitcoin's going to be above 80,000. And it's going to happen like that. It's going to happen in like a day or two. That's how this space works. It's violent moves up and then boredom and nothing happening. So I fully agree. Bitcoin 80,000 by the year is a severe underestimate of where I think we're going to be, especially like if you think interest rates, what we were always talking about, election coming up. The election's been a boon for this industry because it's forced the two sides to kind of come together and be pro crypto. So that's been huge.
Yeah.
That's you're going to see more politicians talking about crypto. I wouldn't be surprised if on these upcoming debates Trump and or Biden end up talking about crypto in these
Right.
debates. They might
Right.
throw that in there, and then all of a sudden, so
Exactly.
there's so many
There's so many
catalysts,
catalysts this
guys.
year. It's insane. The halvening, interest rates, the presidential election, Trump's talking about it. RFK Jr. is talking about it. Biden's going to be forced to take at least a favorable approach on it. Otherwise, he's going to lose 50 million votes if he even has that many votes. Who knows? But, not to make it political, but that was a joke because apparently he had 81 million last election. I don't know. Anyways, so there's so many catalysts here. And then you got the ETH spot ETF that hasn't even started inflows. That's supposed to start inflows by the end of the month. I mean, exciting times. And we hate to just come on here and scream at you that Bitcoin's going to go higher. But so far, everything we've been saying is becoming a reality. And I don't want you to be left behind because you're listening to your favorite influencer who's saying that the cycle's already over. We topped at 73,000 and now we're right back up here. And really, everything is just getting started.
Yeah, never financial advice on the show, and we will tell you when we're bearish. I mean, there were periods there where we were bearish. We were not taking positions in anything. We were selling. We were selling at time. So you got to go with the markets and you got to go with your experience. So we're not perma bulls per se, but I mean, right now at this moment in time, there's just more reasons to be bullish than bearish, and so that's what we're telling you. I mean, that's just how it is.
Right, exactly. And then last thing, maybe we'll touch on it on the next show. Robinhood just bet big and spent $200 million buying Bitstamp. Again, Robinhood is known for its retail investors. Now they're buying a centralized exchange. On Robinhood is kind of a Fugazi front end, like IOUs for the stuff. Now they have a real centralized exchange where you can be able to do real advanced trading. So we'll see what that does to the market. We'll see how Robinhood fares, and their stock went up significantly. So the Web2 people are starting to believe in cryptocurrency as an investable asset class.
Yeah, I saw that news as well. Look, you're seeing adoption, acquisition, acquisitions happening. You're seeing politicians, capitulating. Gary Gensler now saying, changing his tune on how they're going to be approaching crypto. And we'll see how that actually plays out. Everything is lining up right now, guys. I hope you're in the markets. I hope you're following Crypto Paradise on a day-to-day basis, and we will see you guys on the beach.